The future is not something we enter. The future is something we create. That's a really powerful quote from Leonard Cohen. Maybe not science, but it really does set the stage for what we're talking about today.
It absolutely does.
We're going to explore a future that one of the most brilliant minds of our time, Stephen Hawking, didn't just predict. He thought humanity had to create it, or face something pretty terrible.
Yeah. Dire consequences is putting it mildly.
It's a huge challenge, right? Laid out by this titan of science. And it makes us ask, are we actually ready to face it?
That's the core question. And welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. You know our mission here. We take a stack of interesting, sometimes complex sources, and we try to, pull out the crucial stuff for you.
Cut through the noise.
Exactly. Today, we're working mainly with excerpts from Hawking's prophecy, Earth's Future, and Cosmic Escape. We're going to unpack his, frankly, alarming vision for Earth.
Alarming's definitely the word.
We'll look at the science behind it, the timeline he talked about, which is pretty urgent. Then we'll explore the solutions, the things we could maybe do here on Earth.
Right.
And then we get into the really controversial bit, this idea of, leaving space colonization.
And look, for you listening right now, this stuff matters. If you're tracking, say, daily UPSC mains current affairs, this is a major global issue discussion. It touches on things potentially relevant for prelims, too.
Oh, definitely.
But even beyond exams, just for general public information, understanding these big challenges shaping our future. It's critical, isn't it?
Absolutely. We want to give you that comprehensive, sort of unbiased look, help you get really well informed on what could be one of the biggest issues humanity faces.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. Stephen Hawking, everyone knows the name, right? Astrophysics genius, black holes, the universe.
An icon, truly.
But what's maybe less known, or at least less focused on, is how much he thought about something much closer to home, our planet's future. What made him turn that incredible mind towards, Earth's potential end?
It is fascinating, isn't it, how wide his focus was. Back in 2017, this was at the 10-cent W Summit, he gave this warning. It was only about 5 years before he passed away, and it really made waves.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. His core message was, pretty blunt. Humanity, all of us together, we were on a dangerous path, an unsustainable one. And he basically said, look, if we don't make some radical changes, and soon, Earth's future, and ours with it, could get really dark, irreversibly dark. And this wasn't just, some philosophical idea. It came straight from his understanding of the science, the trends he was seeing accelerate.
And he wasn't vague about it, was he? He put forward this, what he called the chilling hypothesis. What did he actually project? What was the timeline, and what did he think was driving us there?
No, he was incredibly direct. Stark, really. He predicted Earth could become pretty much uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
Yeah. By the year 2600. Now, 2600 sounds like ages away, right? Like something out of sci-fi.
It does, yeah.
But he tied it directly to two things happening right now and speeding up. First, overpopulation. And it wasn't just the number of people, crucially. It was the exponential increase in resource use per person as the world gets, wealthier overall.
Like consumption patterns.
Exactly. More people consuming more stuff. And he saw a direct line from that, from this growing, more consuming population to the second big factor, climate change.
The obvious one.
Yeah. He argued our relentless growing energy use, mostly fossil fuels still, would push global warming into overdrive.
Yeah.
Runaway warming.
Yeah.
And the picture he painted was honestly terrifying. He described Earth turning into a veritable hell.
Wow.
He even compared it to Venus. The suffocating atmosphere of Venus, a place where it's hot enough to melt lead on the surface. He genuinely believed that's where we were heading if we didn't slam on the brakes.
That Venus comparison.
Yeah.
That really hits home. It's one thing to say hot, another to invoke Venus.
It's visceral, isn't it?
Yeah. But it wasn't just a scary prediction out of nowhere. What really gives it weight is how it connects to the science, to stuff we're already seeing. What evidence was he citing even then that sort of backs up this grim outlook?
Oh, absolutely. He wasn't just theorizing in isolation. He was linking it directly to, undeniable scientific facts. Things like the steady and actually accelerating rise in global average temperatures. That's happening faster than many models even predicted.
We see that in the news constantly.
Constantly. And look at the extreme weather events, wildfires like we've never seen, crazy heat waves, superstorms, droughts that go on forever. The frequency, the intensity, it's all ramping up.
It feels relentless sometimes.
It does. And at the same time, think about resource depletion. Fresh water, good farmland, minerals. We're using them up at an incredible rate. It's already a crisis for millions. These aren't like abstract future problems.
No, they're here now.
They're here now. Tangible warning signs. The planet's system is under massive stress. And Hawking's point was, this isn't just bad for the environment. It's a direct existential threat to us, to human survival. And, climate science bodies worldwide, they keep confirming these trends. It gives his prophecy a really chilling validity.
So, okay, we have this alarming vision backed by science, but Hawking didn't just point fingers. He stressed urgency, right? He mentioned a tight deadline. How tight are we talking?
Yeah, he put a number on it. Based on his calculations, looking at population growth and energy consumption trends, he figured we had less than 575 years.
575 years before Earth becomes, what, uninhabitable?
That was his estimate, yeah, before it reaches that Venus-like state, potentially. Now, okay, 575 years. For one person, that's forever.
Right, seems distant.
But think about human history, civilization, or even just geological time. It's nothing. It's a blink. 575 years ago. What, Columbus hadn't even sailed yet, right? We were centuries from the Industrial Revolution that really kicked all this into high gear.
That puts it in perspective.
It really does. In that relatively short time, we've managed to put our entire home planet at risk. So that number, 575, it's not about some far-off date. It's about the processes happening right now, the speed of change, and the need for immediate action.
So it underlines the urgency for today, not just for the 26th century.
Precisely. The changes needed are huge and take time. We don't have centuries to figure it out, according to him.
And yet, despite that incredibly stark warning, he wasn't just predicting doom and gloom, was he? He and others talked about solutions, things we could actually do right here on Earth.
That's crucial. Yeah, the sources definitely cover this. It wasn't hopeless. There are proposed strategies, though they're massive undertakings.
Like what? What are the big ones?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, slowing climate change. And that's way beyond just, recycling more. It means a huge global shift in energy.
The energy transition we hear about.
Exactly. A rapid, deliberate move away from fossil fuels. Massive investment in renewables, solar, wind, geothermal, whatever works. Plus, we desperately need better energy storage. Batteries, basically, on a planetary scale.
Okay, energy. What else?
Then there's demography, population. This is always a sensitive topic.
Tricky, yeah.
Very. But the sources raise it. How do we address global population growth responsibly? And critically, how do we do that while also ensuring everyone has basic rights, education, healthcare? Because those things actually tend to stabilize population growth in the long run. It's a really complex balance.
Access and rights versus sheer numbers.
Kind of, yeah, and impacting resource use directly.
Yeah.
And then the third big area is technology and innovation.
The techno-fix potential.
Well, partly. Developing new green solutions, things like carbon capture, actually sucking CO2 back out of the air. That's still mostly theoretical on a large scale, but potentially vital. Plus, advances in sustainable farming, resource management, waste reduction, innovation across the board.
These aren't small tweaks, are they? Slowing climate change, tackling demography, inventing new tech.
Not at all. They require absolutely massive global effort, unprecedented cooperation between governments, industries, scientists, and individuals, too, of course.
It really brings it home why understanding this stuff, the policies, the challenges, is so important, especially if you're, studying policy or international relations like many UPSC aspirants are. This is the kind of complex global problem you need to get a handle on.
Absolutely. It touches everything. Economics, politics, ethics, science.
But what if those Earth-based solutions just aren't enough? Or what if we don't implement them fast enough? Hawking seriously considered another option, didn't he? Something straight out of, science fiction.
He did.
Leaving to survive, space colonization.
Exactly. For Hawking, this wasn't just a cool idea or like a plan B. He genuinely seemed to view it as a long-term necessity for humanity's survival.
A necessity? Wow.
Yeah. He believed that eventually, to guarantee our species continues, we'd have to look beyond Earth. He saw space exploration as the ultimate long-term answer to running out of resources here and maybe escaping environmental catastrophes.
And he's not alone in thinking that way, is he?
Not at all. His vision really resonates with people like, most famously, Elon Musk, SpaceX, and the whole Mars colonization project. That's the same kind of thinking put into action, basically. It's captured the public imagination, this idea of becoming a multiplanetary species.
It's a huge, grand vision. exciting even.
Mm.
But man, it's also really divisive, isn't it? It seems to split people right down the middle.
Oh, completely. It sparks incredibly intense debate. On one side, you've got the enthusiasts, the proponents who see space as our destiny, the final frontier, the only way to truly secure humanity's future against, say, an asteroid impact or irreversible climate change here, escape the limits of Earth.
The ultimate insurance policy.
Sort of, yeah. But then on the other side, you have many scientists, environmentalists, thinkers saying, hang on a minute. This raises a huge question. Why pour potentially trillions of dollars in immense human effort into trying to live on Mars or somewhere else hostile when Earth's problems, massive as they are, could arguably be solved right here if we really committed to it?
The fix our own house first argument.
Exactly. Their point is, shouldn't our absolute top priority be preserving the amazing, unique biosphere we already have? Make Earth sustainable before we dream about terraforming other planets. It's a powerful counterargument.
So that's the core dilemma, isn't it? Do we bet everything on saving Earth, focus all our energy here, or do we hedge our bets, maybe? Invest heavily in space as an escape route, or like you said, an insurance policy?
Well, if we kind of connect this to the bigger picture, the sources sort of hint that maybe it's not strictly an either choice.
Oh, how so?
It might not have to be Earth versus space.
Yeah.
Perhaps a balanced approach is smarter,
Sure.
combining really serious, urgent efforts to fix Earth's problems, the climate action, the sustainable development, with continuing to push the boundaries in space technology.
So do both.
Potentially, yeah. It could be synergistic. Advances in space tech often have spin-offs that help here on Earth anyway. Material science, energy efficiency, life support systems. Maybe pursuing both is the most robust path forward.
That feels hopeful, actually. And it kind of loops back to what Hawking himself seemed to believe in, despite the warnings, right? Humanity's core strength, our ability to innovate, to solve problems, adapt.
Exactly. He had this deep, almost paradoxical faith in our ingenuity, even while sounding the loudest alarms.
So this whole deep dive, then, it's not just about a scary prophecy or dreaming of Mars. It's about getting to grips with all these different angles, the science, the choices, the sheer complexity of what's ahead.
Precisely. It forces all of us to think really critically about our collective future and the decisions we're making, or not making right now.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it really boils down to this central tension, doesn't it? Hawking's prophecy throws down this gauntlet, the urgent, undeniable need to tackle Earth's huge environmental and population challenges.
Yeah, the absolute priority for many.
Versus this other compelling but, controversial idea of space as our ultimate long-term backup plan, our species' survival ticket, maybe.
And, time will tell, won't it? Will this incredibly stark warning from one of history's greatest minds actually spur us into the radical action needed? Or will it just end up being another ignored warning in the history books? That's the provocative thought, really.
It really is. And that's why, honestly, staying informed on topics like this is just so vital. Whether you're studying for exams like UPSC, needing that grasp of critical global issues, or just want to understand the world you live in, this matters.
Couldn't agree more.
So if you found this valuable, please do consider liking and subscribing to the Deep Dive series. We try to bring you these kinds of in-depth discussions regularly.
And please comment below. If you have more questions or just want to share your own perspective on Hawking's ideas or the whole Earth versus space debate, we genuinely want to hear from you. That interaction makes these deep dives better.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey into some pretty big questions about the future, both here on Earth and maybe out among the stars. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the insights that count.